once again her fear inside herself. Esporca, on the other hand, entered the palace as more than a new bride. She is intelligent, disciplined, proud, and raised with the manners of Byzantine politics. She does not come like an ordinary guest. She comes with a history, a position, and a burden of her own. For some people in the palace, she may look like a bridge, for others, she may look like a threat. Her marriage to Orhan can be seen as a political key, but for Nilüfer it feels like a sword placed quietly between two hearts. And Sultan Orhan is trapped between two fights. On one side there is Nilüfer, his first love, his emotional anchor, the woman who has stood with him through hardship. On the other side there is Esporca, political marriage that may strengthen his future. But Orhan is not just a husband where but Orhan is not just a husband. He is a ruler. He cannot think only with emotion. He cannot make every decision only to protect one heart, even if that heart is that one he most. This is the tragedy of leadership. The ruler must sometimes appear cool even when his own heart is burning. This is why episode 22 feels important. The marriage is not only a ceremony, it is wearing the Orhan world is becoming more complicated. If Orhan bare time, the struggle was mostly about founding and defending. If Orhan time, the struggle becomes about ruling, expanding, balancing, and building a system that can survive beyond one man. That is why the palace seems as important as the battlefield scenes. A state is not built only by conquest, it is built by managing loyalty, family politics, and public trust. Nilüfer's reaction after the marriage created a serious crack between her and Orhan. Orhan sees her pain but thus also sees danger is uncontrolled emotion. If Nilüfer openly challenges Esporca, the palace can split into silent scam. If Esporca feels insulted, her own dignity and political value may become a problem. If Orhan Horn does not step in wisely, the woman tension can become a state issue. This is why Orhan Horn's rule is very important now. She is not only a mother, she is old wisdom of the palace. She understands that love can shake at home, but political can make a throne. The strongest point of this update is that Orhan being tested as a ruler inside his own become before he is tested on outside by his enemies and his mistake. The story more mature and young leader can win a battle with courage. But a true sultan must win peace inside his own palace. If Orhan fails to balance Nilüfer and Esporca, his enemies will use this weakness. If he succeeds, then his palace will become stronger than before. So the question now is not only whether Nilüfer accepts Esporca. The real question is whether Orhan can protect love without sacrificing politics and protect politics without destroy love, because Kurulus Orhan, the sword may conquer land, but the hard decision whether the victory become a legacy of a curse. Nilüfer pain and Esporca arrival. Nilüfer position is the latest story is full of emotional weight. She has already given so much Orhan and the state. She has cried to the little of wife, mother, and protect of palace dignity. But now, when Esporca enter Orhan life, Nilüfer pain become impossible to hide. Her problem is not only jealousy that would be too simple. Her real problem is fear that the palace will forget her sacrifice, fear that Orhan's heart will become decided, fear that the children's palace may one day be questioned, and fear that a political marriage can slowly become an emotionally reality. This is why Nilüfer's anger toward Esporca feels natural. Esporca's closeness to the children hurts the Deeply for Nilufar, motherhood is not a small matter, it is dignity, memory, and survival. When she sees Esporca come near that space, she does not see kindness first, she sees danger. She sees a woman who may slowly take on not only Orhan attention but also the emotional center of the palace. Nilufar's reaction becomes harsh because her pain is bigger than her patient. But as Porca is not shown as a simple villain, this is what makes this storyline more interesting. She is not entering the palace only to destroy Nilufar, she is also trying to survive. In a world where every symbol is mired and every word can become a weapon, she knows that the palace does not fully trust her. She knows that Nilufar sees her as a threat. She knows that Orhan people may always remember her Byzantine connection before they accept her a part of the Ottoman future. As Porca also carries long lines, even if it hides it behind pride that creates a strong dramatic triangle. Nilufar has love and history. As Porca has political value and new influence. Orhan has authority, but authority does not automatically solve emotional wound. In fact, authority sometimes make wound deeper because people accept the ruler to decide quickly, firmly, and without weakness. But now, can Orhan decide between two women when the issue is not only personal? If he becomes too soft with Nilufar, as Porca dignity may break. If he becomes too strict with Nilufar, but the love between them may suffer. If gives Asporka too much attention, the palace may whisper. If he ignores Asporka, the political purpose of the marriage becomes weak. This is why the latest update point toward a palace cold war. There may not be open war between Nilufar and Asporka in every scene, but their silence will speak. Their look will speak, their distance from each other will speak, and Mulhan or Haunt will have to watch carefully because she understands that a palace decided by women can become valuable to men with trial outside. Nilufar pain can also become an opportunity of enemies. Daphne has already been presented as woman who can use crack emotional. A wounded Nilufar may become easier to manipulate not because she is foolish but because pain, weakness, judgment. In historical drama, maybe trial do not begin with evil attention. They begin with a moment of heartbreak, a wrong word, a secret meeting, or a decision made in danger. If Nilufar feels Orhan no longer understand her, then someone like Daphne can whisper exactly the words she wants to hear. At the same time as Porca Palace can grow stronger if she shows passion. If she responds to Nilufar with anger, she becomes too outsider. Everyone feared but if she responds with dignity and intelligence, she may respect. This is a real test of a Sporka. Can she become part of Orhan, become without appearing to steal? Nilufar, what can she serve the future of the state without becoming the reason the palace break from outside? Orhan's greatest challenge is to step this emotional storm before it becomes political fire. A ruler cannot allow his private life to become a battlefield for his enemy, but he also cannot crush the truth of the woman who stood by him. This is why his reaction to Nilufar after the marriage becomes so important. When he responds strictly, it shows that the no longer only Orhan, but the variant husband, he is Sultan Orhan, the man who must protect order even from the people he loves. This section of story gives the audience that they love most in cruel style drama, emotional mix with statecraft. The palace is not separate from the battlefield. The palace is not another battlefield, and the weapons there are not swords, they are pride, memory, love, fear, and silence. Sahinsa's determined and the trap against Orhan, while the palace burned with emotional tension. The enemies outside are not sleeping. The latest update shows Sahinsa's Dirman and Mehmet by preparing a dangerous trap for Sultan Orhan. This is where the story shifts for personal conflict to open danger. Orhan enemies understand something very clearly. If they attack him directly, they may fail, but if they strike when his attention is divided between palace tension and state expansion, they may find a weakness. This is why the timing of the trap is important. Orhan is dealing with the consequence of his marriages. Nilufar's reaction has sparked a new position and the emotional pressure inside his own world. At the same time, he refused to stop his expansion. He steps his eyes on village near the Krell's border, which means he is still thinking like a ruler, not like a man distracted by domestic problems. This makes him strong, but it also places him danger. A ruler who keeps moving forward gives enemies a chance to set trap on the road. Sahinsa's role is especially interesting because her represents old power, bridge, and resistance. He is not just a random enemy. He is the kind of man who believes his way. He is a kind of man who believes his own right way and sees Orhan rise is threat to his own. Nilüfer's men like Sahinsas do not always attack because they are weak. Sometimes they attack because they cannot accept a new order. Orhan is presenting change, expansion, and the future larger the tribal politics. Sahinsa represent the old struggle for personal authority. This makes their conflict more than military. It becomes this ideology. Their mind involvement adds another layer. The issue of being accused, the betrayal create tension inside the enemy side as well. When betrayal is mentioned, everyone becomes suspension. If behind is ready to punish even his own brother, then Dick becomes suspension. If Hermione is ready to punish even his own brother, then the story is telling that this side also full of fear and hard decision. This is more important because the enemy are not united by love, they are united by temporary interest. When fear enters such alliances, they begin to break from inside. Russian begin taken in a catch card create a strong visual symbol. A man in a cage is not only a presence, he is a message. Wants to show power, but this could also expose weakness. If he is truly guilty, then punishment may strengthen Dimra authority, but if he is innocent, but Dimra harshness may create regret, rebellion, or a emotional wound. Halmi's role here becomes important because love can challenge political currently. If she tries to save then another emotional storyline may collide with the main war. Now come Boran Bay and Security Bay. The latest update strongly raised the question of whether they will drink their subship or betray him. This is a serious emotional warning for the audience. Boran and are not ordinary apes. They carry memories from the older world of Osman Bey. They represent loyalty, companionship, honor, sacrifice, and continuity between generations. If the story takes on them way, it will not be a small death. It will feel like the closing of an old chapter. Burhan Bey possible Metroid is especially painful because she is connected to the soul of the order struggle. When a veteran falls, the audience does not only mourn can one chapter, They warm a wall era. This is why the update around Boran creates such emotional expectation. If Boran walks toward Metroid, it will like by return with a heroic purpose, not a simple defeat. He would fall as a witness or to Osman's cause and Osman's future. Kurtri danger is also powerful because he has always cried both heart and bravery. This his character is loved because he brings warmth to be a brutal world. Seeing him to shadow form a Troy raise the stake, the audience knows that is falls the emotional damage be huge, but even if they survive, the trap will change him. A warrior who come close to death return with a different silence in his eyes. Orhan responses to the trap will define the next phase of the story. If he only survive, he is not enough. He must answer. He must show that betrayal against the state he has a price, but he must also be careful. A ruler who takes revenge without wisdom can fall into another trap. Thus, the real victory is not only killing enemies if he exposing the network and behind him, breaking their license and their plan into a reason for the stronger unity. This is why episode 23 feel like it will carry a heavy tone. The line Turk ears Olmaz is not just a dramatic phase, it is declaration of identity. It means Orhan people may be wounded, surrounded, trapped on betrayal, but they will not accept humiliation in this world. Capacity is what the death because is attacked honor. So if the trailer is building around that line, then we should accept a story about resistance, sacrifice, and the refusal to bow village and the meaning to expansion. The Sinrol village campaigning is not just another target on the map. In Corulus Orhan, every new land means a new stage in the birth of state. Osman Bey fought to establish the foundation. Orhan now fight to turn that foundation into a stronger political reality. This is why the focus on central matter. He is not moving randomly. He is pushing the entire testing and surrounding power, the showing that the Osman prince will not stop because of palace tension or empty threat. A small village can carry big meaning in historical drama. May appear smaller the Bursa or other major target, but order region are always important. Whoever control the border, control movement, trade, intelligence and pressure. By interrogating Orhan is sending a message to Karasai and to every royal bay. The Ottoman state is not frozen, it is growing, it is watching, it is ready to take tragic ground step by step. But the enemies understand this too. This is why they prepare the trap around Orhan moment. They know that is Orhan's success. His presenting rises, his enemies will look weaker, his war will become more confident, his palace problem may become smaller in the eyes of the public because victory has a way of silence. So the enemies need him to fail publicity. They do not only want to kill his ops, they want to damage the image of his leadership. This is where Orhan's character becomes central. He is not presenting as a ruler who waits for perfect condition is tense, so I will delay the campaigning. He moved as bit pressured. This is leadership, but it is also danger. The greater the ambition, the greater the risk. Every constitutes demand blood, and sometimes that blood come from the most loyal people. The possible sacrifice of Quran and around this campaigning gives emotional weight. If the land is taken by beloved ops fall, the victory becomes bittersweet. This is the kind of storytelling that makes historical drama memorable. A conquest without loss feels too easy. A conquest with sacrifice becomes legend. Orhan may will land, will the man lose a part of his heart on the road? There is also a deeper message here. Orhan is not about personal glory, not it is about building something that will outlive him. This is why the cannot stop. If he stop because of palace conflict, enemies and smell weakness, if he stop because of a peer betrayal, rebels and grow bold, if he stop because the road is dangerous, then the dream of the state become only a dream. So Orhan must move even when the cost is heavy. The latest update make it clear that the series is now entering a stage where state building is more complex. That hero Raid Osman Orhan managed alliance marriage, betrayals, internal betrayal, and the old loyalty network of his father era. He must honor Osman Bey legacy while proving that he is not only Osman's son. He must become his own ruler. This is a difficult transmission because everyone compare him into the past. The up sees Osman's shadow, the people remember Osman's struggle, the enemies test whether Orhan has the same fire, and Orhan must answer not with word, and the decision is one of those decisions. If he wins, his authority grows. If he is trapped, he must survive with dignity. If he loses Boran or other apps, he must turn grief into justice. This is the emotional engine of the upcoming episode. It is not only will Orhan win, the deeper question is what will victory cost him, and this is why the audience remains attached, because Clueless Orhan is not only about what land is taken, it is about who says the price of that land. It is about the tears behind the flag, the grave behind the victory, and the lonely burden of the ruler who must keep walking out even after losing people her love. Boran Bay and the shadow of martyrdom. The most emotional part of the latest update is the danger surrounding Boran Bay and Bay. When the story asks whether they will become betrayal is immediately change the mood. The audience who knows that these are not repressible side characters, they are part of the emotional memory of the whole universe. They have seized the old day, old war, old sacrifice, and old loyalty. Their presence remind viewers of Osman Bey journey and the years soul of the struggle. Boran Bey walking about toward martyrdom would be one of the most painful turns because his character carries dignity and loyalty. He is not the loudest man in every scene, but he has weight. His silence is history, his sword has memory, his loyalty is not new. It has been tested across years. If he died, his death will not feel like a plot twist only, it feels like a farewell to a generation. The ATV special video titled Boran Bey already creates a strong emotional expectation around his fate. That title alone tells the audience to prepare their heart is struggle, that Boran's path is not toward ordinary defeat but toward a scared ending in the challenges of the series. If this become his final chapter, then the winter writer will likely use him as a symbol of loyalty that does not bend even when the body falls. Is another matter. His possible death will hurt differently. Boran martyrdom would feel like noble grief, would feel like losing warmth. He is the kind of character who brings humanity into war in a world full of sword, betrayal, and state political gives the audience emotional breathing space. He represents loyalty with his bravery, with response personally, and pain hidden behind strength. If he falls, the series becomes darker, but sometimes the threat of martyrdom is also used to renew character. If Boran dies and survives, may become a change forever. If Kurtkuti says Boran fall, his humor may fade, his anger may sharpen, and his loyalty or Orhan may become more intense. A surviving up can carry the soul of the fallen. This is a classic emotional path. His historical storyline, one betrayal become the fire inside another warrior. Orhan reaction will be extremely important. If Boran truly falls, Orhan cannot only mourn, he must respond like a sultan. He must honor the dead, protect the living, and punish betrayal, but he must also not allow grief to blind him. This is where Orhan leadership will be tested again. They may trap is against is not only like kills ops but to make Orhan angry enough to make a mistake. A ruler who acts only from grief may walk into the second trap. This is why the upcoming episode can become a turning point for Orhan maturity. He may lose someone dear must be the turn loses into stretch. He must show that martyrdom does not weaken the state, it strengthens the oath. Their line mosaic fits perfectly into the mood because it tells us that the story may resolve around capacity, honor, and sacrifice. A warrior may die, but he does not surrender his dignity. There is another emotional layer, the old Alps and bridge between Osman and Orhan. As long as they stand beside Orhan, Osman era feels close, but if one by one the fall Orhan become more alone, the loneliness is necessary for his transformation. A ruler cannot forgive stand under the protection of his father companion. At same point, he must his own circle, his own legacy, and his own emotional strength. But that process hurt if because it required fair bells. If Orhan betrayal happen, it should not be treated as ending only. It only be treated as transfer of responsibility. There is another emotional layer, the old Alps and bridge Osman and Orhan. As long as they stand beside Orhan, Osman era feels close, but if he won the fall, Orhan become more alone. The loneliness is necessary of the transmission. A ruler cannot forever stand under the protect forever stand under the protection of his father companion. At same point, he must build his own circle, his own legacy, and his own emotional strength. But that process hurt becomes is required fair for. If Boran betrayal happened, that is should not be threat and ending. It should be threat as a transfer of responsibility. Boran loyalty become Orhan's burden, his sacrifice become the reason of a stronger companion. His grave become a silent command. Continue the state, protect the people, and never allow betrayal to become normal. This is why the latest update he created such emotional tension. The audience is not only asking who will die, they are asking what kind of Orhan will rising after his loss. He will become colder. Will he become wiser? Will he become more ruthless against traitors, or will he learn the hardest lesson of leadership, that every victory has a name in the soul? Production, what comes next in episode 23? Now let us talk about what may come next based on the official episode 23 traitors listening and the phrase Asir, the next episode will likely focus on capacity resistance and Orhan answer to the trap. This phrase is too long to be used carelessly. It stressed that one more Turkish warrior may be captured, surrounded toward palace is humiliating position and the emotional center of the episode will be their refusal to surrender. My prediction is that the trap set by Sahinaz and Mehmet Bai will not only target on Orhan physically, it will target his image as a ruler. They want to show that Orhan cannot protect his own arms. They may not want to use Quran or another various as a public symbol of Ottoman weakness, but this plan will backfire because Metroid and resistance usually create more unity than fear in his series. If Boran dies, his death will likely become a rallying cry. If his survival capacity is refueled to become a heroic movement, Orhan will probably return from his crisis with a more dangerous silence. He must not shout immediately. He may first understand who betrayed whom, how the trap was prepared, and what alliances are hidden behind it. This would be more powerful than instant revenge. Orhan is not just a fighter now, he is becoming a state maker. A state maker does not only cut the visible hand, he had the mind behind the hind inside the palace. The Nilufar and Sporka tension will continue. Boran more dangerous or may temporarily silence personally rivalry, but it will not end. It sometimes grief forces people to stand together for one night, but after the funeral, old woman's return, Nilufar may sees the state danger are bigger than the personal pain, but that does not mean her pain despair. Sporka may try to prove herself through dignity and survive, especially if the palace entire morning. Orhan Haunt may use two phrases to remind both women that the palace cannot afford division. Will enemies gather outside? There may also be a shift is how Orhan trusts Nilufar if he suffer a major loss is battle while also dealing with emotional conflict and home. He may become stricter. He may tell Nilufar that the palace must stand like a fortress, not like a wounded household. This could hurt her never more, but it may force to grow into a stronger political role. Nilufar's future arc may not be only about jealousy, it may become about learning how to protect her palace without telling pain control her. The palace without letting pain control her. As Volga R may also depend if she truly want a palace in Orhan world. She must show that she is not only a political bridge. She must show loyalty in a moment of danger. A sign act of courage, mercy, or intelligence could change how the palace sees her. The series may all slowly come from outside to necessary figure, but this will increase Nilufar fear because the more Sporka earned respect, the harder it became to dismiss her. On the battlefield side, Orhan will likely strike back about the trap may become the palace where grief turn into conquest. If the enemies think they have weakened Orhan by targeting his arms, they may discover the opposite. The death of suffering of a loyal warrior can make a ruler more determined. Orhan may use this event to expose Sahinsas and terminate weakness, divide their alliances, and present himself as the only leader capable of bringing order. The Dursan and Himalayan storyline may also become more important if Dursan is wrong accused. This is suffering may reveal crack inside it. Hermione act to save him. She may create a chain reaction that affect the enemy plan. Love stories is this series often become political key. A wrong woman trying to save the man she loves can expose secret that Hermione could not find. Fatima and everyone may also face consequence from Ygritte revenge. Ygritte anger seems dangerous because every revenge does not always follow reason. If he continue hunting them more, one arrow or one wrong movement could change their fate. This subplot may cannot to their largest theme of the episode. When people act from pain, they become easy to use. The final emotional note of episode 23 will likely be about Orhan choosing duty over comfort. Whenever Boran dies in wounded or Haran up fall, Orhan will not be allowed to stop. He will Moran, but the will move. He will carry the death in his heart, but the will continue the companion. This is burden of the Sultan. Ordinary man can sit beside a grave and still until morning. A ruler must cry inside a stand before the people before sunset. So the next episode may deliver their three major things: a painful farewell or near farewell of all the old apes, a stronger confrontation between Orhan and the traitor, and a deeper crack inside the palace because of Asporka and Nilüfer. The story is no longer simple, it is becoming the story of Orhan learned that ruling is not only winning battle. Ruling means holding a broken palace, a grieving army, a growing state, and a burning heart at all the same time. At that is why Krulus Orhan latest direction is powerful. The series is moving from the age of foundation into the age of responsibility. Osman they planted the dream. Orhan must now protect it from enemies outside, wounds inside, and the heavy cost of becoming a true sultan. Boran Bear, martyrdom, and Orhan's silent storm. Boran Bear martyrdom is not only a sad scene in the story, it is a wound open in the heart of whole state. When a warrior like Boran falls, a battlefield does not become quiet because the war is finished. It becomes quiet because everyone understands that something scared has just happened. Boran was not an ordinary ops who comes from the battle and disappeared in the dust of story. He belonged to the old soul of the struggle. He carries the memory of Osman Bey age, the loyalty of his first companion, and the faith of men who never counted their own life before the future of the state. This is why the death does not feel like the end of character only. It feels like the closing of an old door. Sultan Orhan stand before the pain as both a man and a ruler. A man he want to fall beside Boran, hold his wound, cry without shame, and remember every moment of loyalty that brought them to his day. But as a ruler, he cannot collapse. His people are watching, his enemies are waiting, his arms are looking into his eyes to see whether grief will break him or make his harder. This is the cruel death of leadership. A normal man can mourn openly, but a sultan must turn mourning into command. Orhan's silence after Boran martyrdom is more dangerous than anger because that silence is not weakness. It is calculation, it is the moment when became pain strategy. Pain is even more direct. He loses not only a comrade but a part of his own part. Boran and Kirti are connected to a time when the dream is smaller, poorer, and more innocent. The test says the state before it became a state. They knew the date when victory was not certain and death was always chosen. When Boran loves, his word certainly remained behind like a man forced to carry two souls. The on words word on become behavior. His jokes will become fever. His eyes will research the camp as Boran may still walking about behind a tent. This is the kind of grief that does not end after one funeral. The enemy may think Boran death is a victory, but they misunderstand the spirit of the Turks in his story. Mitroim does not weaken them if it sharpens them. A living warrior fights a land, but a fallen warrior becomes a banner. Boran names will now travel from tent to tent, from soldiers to soldier, from another to child. Every person who hears about his final loyalty will understand that his state was not built with easy promises. It was built with blood, passion, betrayal, sacrifice, and men who gave their final breath without asking for reward. Orhan's next move must be greater than revenge. Revenge alone is too small. If Orhan only kills the man responsible, the pain may burn for a moment and the fade. But if Orhan uses martyrdom to unite the people, expose the traitor, crush the hidden alliance and strengthen the campaigning, but then Boran's death becomes the turning point in the rise of the state. This is what Orhan must understand. A betrayal blood must not be spent on anger only, it must become he ink with a new chapter is written. Inside the palace, Boran death will also change the atmosphere. Nilufar pain, Esporka arrival, and the cold tension among the women may suddenly feel smaller. Is the shadow of Metroid, but that does not mean the palace conflict disappear. It only pauses grief and silence, rivalry for a day. But after the burial, the old wound begin breathing again. Still, Buran Mitridum may force everyone to remember that personal pain cannot be allowed to weaken the state. Malone Hunt will understand his before everyone else. She will seize the Orhan need and a palace standing behind him, not a palace fighting within itself. Boran's final palace in the story is therefore not defeat, it is inheritance. The leaves Orhan with a duty, the leaf security with grief. He leaves the Alps will on oath. He leaves the audience with the feeling that the old generation is longing, giving its blood so the new generation can rise. This is the emotional power of the martyrdom. He falls, but his loyalty remains standing. Rain and the fire of revenge. Security after Boran martyrdom will not be the same man. A warrior can survive hundreds of battles, but sometime one death wound him more deeply than any sword. Boran fall will create a silence inside security that no victory can easily remove. He has always been a character of energy, warmth, and loyalty. Even when danger surrounded him, there was life in his face. But now, after watching Boran leave this world, something inside him will become colder, not weaker but colder. and this coldness can become more frightening that open range. The audience must understand that security grief is not only personal, it is historical. He has been to many graves, he has watched too many brothers fall in the name of the same dream. Every martyrdom remind him of the price that has already been paid. But Boran's death is different because it comes at the time when Orhan is trying to build to own Iraq. Security may feel that the ops collapse and being taken one by one so that Orhan can't stand alone. This thought is painful because it means the world he knew, the despairing security may blame the enemy but they may also blame himself. This is the hidden punishment of survivors. They asked, will the lift when the other man died? They replied, every moment in their mind, could not they have arrived earlier? Could they have blocked the strike? Could they have cried the away? Could they have changed the result? If the answer is no, the heart does not listen easily. Security will carry the invisible guilt, and that guilt may push him toward dangerous revenge. Orhan will need to control security without freaking him. This is a difficult task. If Orhan tells him to calm down, security may feel misunderstood. If Orhan allows him to act freely, he may turn into another trap. A grieving warrior is powerful, but he is also predictable. The enemy knows he wants blood. They may use Orhan's death to pull security away for discipline. This is why Orhan must turn security grief into control fire. Fire can burn the enemy if it left loses. It burns the camp too. Security next sense and can become some of the most emotional moments of the series. Imagine him standing alone aside beside Boran's grave, speaking not like a soldier but like a brother. He may promises that Boran's blood will not remain on the ground. He may remember old days when the language before battle ate the same fire and believed that death was always near or but stronger than loyalty. These moments would give the audience a deep connection because that show warriors are not made of stone, they bleed outside and inside at the same time. Security pain can become a weapon of Orhan. A man has lost some near does not fear death is the same way. Security may now fight with a furious script. If every strike in the answer of Boran's final breath. But the best version of this arc would not be blind revenge. The best version would be transformation. Security should not only kill for Boran, she should become wiser because of Boran. He should understand that loyalty is not proven only freeing. Sometimes loyalty is proven by surviving long enough to protect the dream. This is where Orhan and security bond can deepen. Orhan also carries grief but cannot express it like security may become the emotional voice of the arm while Orhan become the disciplined mind. Together they can represent two sides of the same pain. One side cries while the other side shapes the fight into victory. Boran betrayal also make security more protective of Orhan. He knows that the enemies are becoming more dangerous. He knows that betrayal is growing around the border. He knows that a ruler can be attacked only not with sword but with trap, lies and emotional wounds. Kurtli may now place himself even closer to Orhan, not only as a but as a living shield in this hurting. Protecting Orhan may become the way honor Boran. So the next chapter of security should not be revenge. If she should be grief become responsibility. If should be a man learning that the death do not want you us to lose ourselves. They want us to carry the you cause forward. And if security understand this, then Boran martyrdom will not destroy him, it will build him into a stronger, darker, and more loyal warrior. Nilüfer as Porca and the palace after bloodshed. After Boran martyred, the palace cannot remain the same. Death has a strange power inside loyal wall. If silence gossip for a moment, lawyer proud head and remind everyone that outside the palace there are men dying so that the throne can stand. Nilüfer and Sporka may still carry tension between them. May after such a loss, their warrior must take a different shape. The palace is not only dealing with emotional jealousy, it is dealing with stage grief. Nilüfer hurt is already wounded because of Orhan marriages with Sporka, but Boran martyrdom may forces the look to the wider picture. She may realize that while she is fighting of her palace is Orhan hurt. Orhan is losing man who had built the every world she live in. This not earlier her pain, it only make it more complicated. Nilüfer may feel guilt for being angry at Orhan while is crying the death of a loyal companion, but guilt does not come through the word only, it comes through her behavior during crisis. A Sporka true test is not how the smile beside Orhan, her trust is now the stand when Orhan word is bleeding. Mulan Font will likely watch both women with sharp eye. She knows the palace cannot split while enemies gather outside. She may was Nilüfer that pain must not turn into disorder. She may also warm as Polka that entering Orhan life meaning accepting the blood place of the state. No woman is that palace can live as a wife. Each one must understand politics, loyalty, sacrifice, and silence. This is the law of ruler household. Nilüfer deepest fear is losing emotional power as Polka deepest struggle is gaining legitimacy. These two fears will keep clashing. Nilüfer has history, motherhood, and love as Polka has a new political position and the attention that come with new beginning, new married to the ruler. Neither woman is empty, neither woman is simple. That is why the conflict can become strong if written properly. The audience should not only choose on one hand the hate other, they should understand that both are trapped inside a system where women must fight quietly for security, dignity, and future influence. Orhan behavior will decide how dangerous this conflict becomes. If we give Nilüfer too much emotionally comfort, Sporka may appear weaker in the eyes of the palace. If she gives Sporka too much public respect, Nilüfer may feel replaced. If we avoid the issue, both women will be creating their own strategy. This is why Orhan must be careful. A ruler cannot live as emotional problem unattended because unattended emotion because political problem. Boran martyrdom may also become a mirror for Nilüfer. She may ask herself whether her pain is leading her toward wisdom for bitterness. If she become bitter, defend or another hidden enemy can use her emotion. If she become wise, she can protect her place without weakening Orhan. This is the turning point Nilüfer needs. She can either become a wounded woman reacting to every move as Porca make, or she can become a powerful haunt who understands that dignity is stronger than jealousy. As Porca too must prove she is not only a beautiful political bridge She must show intelligence, patience, and loyalty. She must not try to defeat Nilufar openly because that would make her look as invader in the palace. Instead, she must build respect slowly. She must speak less, observe more, and choose her movement carefully. In palace political, the person who took much often loses. The person who listens quietly often survives. The palace after born death with before becoming a palace of control tension. Everyone will speak softly, but every word will carry weight. Nilufar will with spot Asporka will mire Nilufar. Molhan Haunt will mire them both, and Orhan standing in the middle will understand that victory outside is impossible if the palace inside becomes a battlefield. Sahinsa and Dimran believe they understand Orhan, but their greatest mistake is thinking that pain will weaken him. They see Boran betrayed as a strike against Orhan hurt. They think that if they kill loyal men, shake his army, and create fear among his followers, then his companions will slow down. But this is dangerous misunderstanding. Some ruler break under grief, but others become sharper. Orhan belongs to the second kind. The enemies are not thinking like men of personal power. They measure success the immediate damage. They ask who will kill which road will block which trap success with. But Orhan is beginning is think like a state. He asked disappear question who clad with this, who benefit from this, with alliances hide beside his move which weaken inside our side. Allow the enemy to come so close. This difference is important. A man of revenge attack the nearest enemy. A man of state destroy the roots. Ahimsa pride may become his weakness. Pride make a man bold, but it also make him careless. He may believe that Orhan is still young, still emotional, still easy to provoke, but Orhan has already begun to learn that love can become a palace crisis. He has learned that marriage can become political. He has learned that loyal men can die because hidden trap. These lessons are painful, but they make him more dangerous. Dimra's eyesight also curtain crack. The matter of Roshan and Ahalmin can become a serious weakness when a man punishes it his own blood too harshly. They may create enemies inside his own tent. If the rest is connect of the element continue to fight from him, Dermine may face emotionally rebellion from within. This is exactly where Orhan can give advantage. He does not always need a defeat the enemy of a sword. Sometimes he also needs to let the enemy injustice expose itself. Mehmet Bey's role may also become complicated. Men who join trap often think they are prepared partners, but in reality every conspirator is fear of being betrayed by the other. If Orhan applies pressure correctly, this alliance can bring to split. Sahinsas may blame Dimran may unsuspect Mehmet Bey may protect himself to giving information. This is how alliances built on fear collapse. They look strong from outside, but one strike is the right place reveal the emptiness inside. Orhan's response should not be emotional noise. It should be clean and terrifying. He should gather intelligence, question survivors, study the road of the ambush, and identify the messenger chain. Then he should strike in a way that makes the enemy understand one thing clearly. The Ottoman state does not only have brave warriors, it has memory, it remember betrayal, it remember blood, it remember who stood where when the storm was drawn. The phrase Turk ensure Olmaz also suggested that the enemy may try to humiliate Turkish warriors through capacity, but this can become another mistake. Capacity seen is this type of story do not make the hero smaller. They make the enemy look real and the hero look unbreakable. If an ape refuses to bow, refuses to beg, and refuses to accept chain and shame, then the enemy victory becomes hollow. They may hold the body, but they cannot hold the spirit. This is where Orhan enemies fails to understand the emotional system of the tribe and state. For them, killing one man is removing one shoulder. For Orhan people, killing one loyal man creates 100 bonds. Bond death will not empty this battlefield, it will fit it with men who want to carry his name forward. That is danger of martyrdom. It multiplies courage, sahinsas, and ramnais may win a movement, but Orhan is positioned to win the meaning of that movement. And in history, meaning is often stronger than majority victory. A trap can kill men, but it produced unity. Then the trap fails. A martyrdom can bring tears, but it is creates discipline. Then the enemy loses. A ruler can be wounded, but if the wounded become wisdom, then he become harder to defeat. So the next stage should show Orhan moving from grief to judgment. He will not only ask for blood, he will ask for truth, and when he finds the truth, his answer will not be small. It will be the kind of answer that tells every rival pay and every secret traitors and every border enemies that Orhan may be young, but the stage rising beside him is not weak. Orhan knew oath and the road to episode 23. Episode 23 now stand at the end of a major emotional shift. And after Boran martyrdom, Orhan cannot continue as the same ruler. Something inside the must harden. This does not mean the loses mercy completely, but it means he can no longer afford hesitation. The enemies have shown that they are ready to strike through trap, betrayal, capacity, and emotional wound. Orhan must now answer with a new oath. No more weakness, no more confusion, no more allowing the enemy to choose the battlefield. The official trailer focus on Turk Asai Olmaz give the next episode a clear direction. It may likely be about honor under pressure, capacity defiance, and the refusal to bend before the enemy. The alliance carries the full spirit of the upcoming conflict. It is not only about one prince, it is about identity. It says that chain may touch the body, but do not the soul. It says that the enemy may surround the warrior, but they cannot turn into a slave. It says that death is lighter than humiliation. Orhan knew oath will probably begin a Boran grave. This would be the most powerful palace for his transformation. A throne room. Oath is political. A battlefield. Oath is heroic, but an oath beside a betrayal grave is scared. Orhan as promised at Boran. Blood will not be forgotten, that the traitor will be exposed, and that the road of the conquest will not stop. In that moment, the audience will see that Boran's death did not end the story. If grave Orhan a new fire, security will stand beside him like a man, broken but not defeated. His men will become part of the youth. The ups will lower their heads, but their hands will tightening around their throat. Malhan Hound will understand that her son has crossed another their hold. Nilufar may look at Orhan and realize that the man she loves is moving future into the lonely world of power. As Porka see for the first time the true cost of being married to a ruler whose life began to the state. The coming episode may also show Orhan becoming more distant in the palace. This is nature after such a when a ruler does not lose someone loyal, the beginning the doubt everyone he may look at the face at the silently who else will betray me, who else is hiding something, who else smile is may palace but speak with the enemies. The suspicious can protect him, but it can also insulate him. Orhan must balance calculation that with truth. A ruler who truth too easily is destroyed. A ruler who trusts no one become alone. The compelling toward may now become more than conquest. It may become a response to betrayal. Betrayed Orhan may decide that the best way to honor the fallen is not continue forward. Enemies accept grief to create delay. Orhan must show grief, creating movement. If Cellular falls into Orhan's hands after his tragedy, the message will be strong. You killed our loyal man, but you could not stop our rise. Nilufar next emotional arcs may become very important here. She has to decide whether she will stand beside Orhan as a source of strength or remain trapped in her pain. Over as Porka, the audience loved Nilufar because her emotional, her deep, but now she must show maturity if she continue fighting as Porka as the wrong time. Weaver may feel she is weakening Orhan when he need unity, but it control her pain and stand with dignity during the crisis. Her character will rise again. He is the chance to prove this. She is not only Orhan bounded love, she is also a woman worthy of the state respect. A Sporka position can also state rise of fall in episode 23. If he spot the mourning palace with wisdom, she will gain silent respect. If she overstep Nilufar anger will become stronger. As Porka need patience, she must. This is the real image of a ruler being format, not a ruling sitting comfortably at throne, but a ruler walking about through blood, family conflict, betrayal, and long lines. Orhan new oath is simple, a meaning but heavy in responsibility. If the state will not now, but betrayal will not be forgotten, and the road will stop. Boran's body may return to the earth, but his loyalty will remain in every sword drawn after him. Correctly, tears will become anger. Nilufar pain will be tested as Porka. Patience will be measured. Sahinsas and Rembrandt tribe will begin to turn against them. And now the story moved toward episode 23. with a one clear message. Orhan has lost a loyal companion, but he has a great deeper understanding for power. From the point forward, every decision will be heavier, every battle will be more personal, and every victory will carry the memory of Boran Bey. The enemies wanted to break Orhan's heart. Instead, they may have created the Sultan who will break their power. After Boran Bey, martyrdom, the story of Kurulus Orhan enter a darker and heavier road. Until now, Orhan was fighting enemies, balancing the palace, and trying to prove that he was not only Osman Bey's son but a ruler with his own destiny. But Boran's death changes the meaning of everything. This is no longer only a matter of conquest, marriage, border politics, or rivalry between Bey. Now the price of Orhan rise the becoming personal. A man who stood with the old cause, who cried the memory of Osman Bey and who remained loyal until his last breath has fallen. His death become a question placed before Orhan. Can you carry this? Also remain stayed without the man who helped your father build it. Boran Bey's final moments are not just written as sadness, they are written as a spiritual handover. He does not leave the world like a defeated warrior, he lives like a man who has completed his duty. His loyalty moved from Osman Bey to Orhan, and with his last breath, he proved that true companionship does not end and a ruler death. It continues with the case. If this is why the martyrdom is not important from the story. Boran is not saying farewell to life, he is blessing Orhan path with his sacrifice for Orhan. This important must feel like a mountain falling on the chest. A ruler can choose shoulder a built and still continue, but losing a man like Boran is differently. Boran is connected to memory, he is connected to the old tent, the old soul, the old promises, and the old vow. When Orhan sees him fall, he sees the cost of inheritance, the understand that taking him further. Palace does not only mean sitting in command, it means buying the people who one protected that command. This is where Orhan leadership become more serious. Before Orhan matured, Orhan was already strong, brave, and politically aware. But after this loss, the must become deeper. He must learn that every situation she make can cost live, every companion, every alliances, every marriages, every border more, every delayed order, and every trusted messages can change. He fate of loyal man, a young ruler often think victory in the main test, but Orhan is now learning that the real test is what he does after lose. The enemy thinks that killing Boran has broken Orhan's heart, but what they do not understand is the broken heart in a ruler can become more dangerous than any sword. Orhan grief will not only create tears, it will create silence, and the silence will not make the enemy nervous, because when a ruler stops speaking too much, it means he is no longer reacting from emotional, he is watching, calculating, and preparing. Boran Bey death will also affect the some will cry openly, some will sharpen their sword without saying a word, some will look at curative and their own future in his past. The camp after Boran's funeral will not be normal. The fire will burn, but laughter will disappear. His horses and stand ready, but the men will speak less. Everyone will understand that the enemy has crossed a line. This is not only war on now, this is blood debt. But Orhan must be careful. Blood debt can unite men, but it can also blind them. If the up rush forward in range, they may fall into another trap. If security also alone, the grief may become the enemy next weapon. If Orhan attack too quickly, Sahinsa and Dimran may use in anger against him. This is Boran. Martyrdom become a test of discipline. The state must mourn, but it must not love its mind. Inside the palace, the effect will be different but equally powerful. The women of the palace will feel the atmosphere change. Nilufar pain can Asporka change. Asporka will still exist. The Boran death, the remind her Boran world is full of wounds beyond love. Asporka will also see more clearly what kind of life she has entering. Being married a Orhan is not only wearing honor. Grief of a state Molan Haunt will understand everything become everyone else. She knows that martyrdom can add her strength a family to expose its cracks. Orhan's responsibility now become a doubt. He must avenge Boran, but the must also protect Boran. Meaning revenge without meaning is only blood. But justice with remaining becomes history if Orhan simply kills the first enemy in front of him. The audience may feel his pain, but his state will not grow. If Orhan uses the movement to expose the entire betrayed network strength, the loyalty pushes the real planner and move forward with greater authority. Then Boran death become the first that forgets the next stage of Ottoman rise. This is the Boran. Martyrdom cannot be treated as only as emotional sense. It is burning a turning. It tells the audience that the old generation is living one by one. The Orhan is being forced by stand without the point protection of his father companion. The path ahead will be lonelier. The decision will be harder. His enemies will be crueler. His palace will be more complicated, but it Orhan can carry Boran memory properly. Then this lose will not weaken him if it will complete another part of him. Boran Bay falls, but the oath rises. He body return to the earth, but the loyalty remains about the camp like a flag. Every arm woo the next battle. Every enemy who separated his death with soon realized that they did not bury a man, they weakened a state. Orhan grief becomes strategy. The most dangerous version of Orhan is not the one who shouts in anger. The most dangerous version of Orhan is the who goes quiet after losing someone her loves. After Boran Bay martyrdom, Orhan will not only feel sadness, he feel responsibility, guilt, rage, and the heavily low lines that one ruler understand. He will ask himself whether his death could have been presented. He will remember every warning, every road, every phase, every decision that led the battlefield. That is painful silence. Orhan will begin to transform grief into strategy. This is the difference between a warrior and a ruler. A warrior sees the enemy who struck the blow, he wants to survive back immediately. A ruler sees the hand and who struck the blow, he wants to strike back immediately. A ruler sees the hand, the arm, the mind, and the hidden room where the room plan born. Orhan must not only punish like killer, he must find the system behind the killer. He must understand who gives transformation, but who openly the road, who delayed support, who benefits from Boran fall, and who wanted Orhan emotionally broken before the next companion. Sahinsa and Arman may believe that shaken Orhan, but their success with Orhan become their first major mistake. By taking Boran from Orhan, they have forced him to look at them not as temporary rival but as threat to the state soul. Before this, Orhan might have dealt with them through political pressure, alliance, or controlled confrontation, but now the matter has changed. Boran blood demand clarity that can be no soft middle road will man with men who attack loyalty itself. Orhan's first step should be patient. He must allow the enemy to think he is driving too deeply to move. This would create an opening. Enemies become careless when they believe that they already won. They spoke more freely. They send messengers with less caution. Their slow, their hidden partner, they begin celebrating too soon. Orhan can use that arrogance. A clever ruler does not always strike when the enemy accepts it. Sometimes he lets the enemy reveal itself fully. The creator, however, he will not easily accept patient. His pain is raw, but his heart wants a sword, not a pain. He may look at Orhan's silence and mistake it for delay. This can create a powerful scene between them. Security may ask how they can want when Boran is the grave. Orhan may answer the Boran discover more than blind revenge. He deserves just that. Rich is the real traitor. This kind of dialogue would show the difference between emotional loyalty and political leadership. Both the honorable but only who can save the state. Orhan grief will also change his face before the ops. He will ops not longer see only the young sultan carrying Usman's legacy. They will seize a man who has paid with blood. Man follows a leader more deeply when they are suffered with them. If Orhan stand before Boran give and speak not like a distant ruler, like a wounded brother. It acts with love more peacefully, but if the sense to grieve into disciplined command, they will respect him more deeply. The balance is important. Too much emotionally can make command, too much coldness can weaken loyalty. Orhan must stand in the middle. He must show the Boran mattered, but must also show that Boran death will not stop the campaigning. He must also dare that one not collapse. He must allow anger and not choice. He must allow mourning but not surrender. The phrase struck ourselves or must become central here. It tells us the next episode is not only about grief, it is about dignity under pressure. If the enemy tries to captain humiliation or uses Turkish warrior as possible of defeat, Orhan response must be absolute. He must prove that capacity cannot defeat a people who can honor higher than fear. The enemy may control chance, but they cannot control meaning, and meaning. This is what Orhan must protect in the palace. Orhan's strategy may make him emotionally distant. Nilufar may feel like distance and suffer from it. She may think Esporka arrival has already taken Orhan away, but now Boran's death and the burden of revenge will take him even further. He create a tragic emotional situation. Nilufar wants love, reassurance and closeness. Orhan wants justice, order and silence, but both are hurt, but they heard in different language. Esporka may understand Orhan political silence. They are Nilufar because she must, because from a world of palace calculation. This could make Nilufar feel even more threatened. If Esporka threat, Orhan must correctly and give the kind of quiet support and needs. Nilufar says she is another loses of space. Boran Orhan point of view. He may simply by responding to whoever understand the moment. This is how emotionally bravery become more complicated. Orhan grief becomes strategy will Orhan. Therefore, after every part of the story, it will shape the battlefield, the palace, and the enemy alliances, and his own imagine as ruler. This is the stage where Orhan stops reacting like a man wounded by betrayal and start moving like a sultan shaped by loss. Boran martyrdom becomes the flame, but Orhan must decide whatever that flame burns brightly or becomes the light by watch which the next road is seen. The strongest prediction is this: Orhan will not answer Boran's death will one sudden attack. He will answer with a chain of decision. First, he will gather the truth. They will protect the moral of the Alps. Then he will silence places weakness. Then the strike the enemy where their pride is strongest, and when the does, Boran will not be spoken as a memory only, it will be spoken as the reason the state move forward with greater force. Nilufar, loneliness, and Esporka quiet rise. Nilufar loneliness after Boran Bay martyrdom become more painful because it is no longer simply jealousy. If the first heart was shaken by Orhan marriage to Esporka, she feared losing her palace, her closeness, and her emotional world she built with Orhan. But now, after Boran's death, Orhan becomes even more unreachable. He is not only a husband divided between two women, he is a ruler crying martyrdom, revenge, strategy, and the future of the state. Nilufar wants to reach him about Orhan, moving into a silence where sense love struggle to enter. This is a powerful direction of Nilufar character. She is not weak because she is hurt, she is human because she is hurt. The audience can understand her pain because she has gives her heart to a man whose life will never fully belong to her. Orhan may love, but her first duty belongs to the state. This truth, first duty belong to the becomes more visible after every crisis. When the enemy attack, when Orhan must go, when an Olaf's dies. Orhan must lead when a border opens. Orhan must move. Nilufar is left to carry the emotional cost of loving a ruler. As Porca quiet rise become dangerous exactly because it does need to be loud. She does not have to defeat Nilufar openly. She only needs to understand Orhan at the right moment. If Orhan is silent and Sporka remain calm. If Orhan is planning and Sporka does not demand explanation, if Sporka is gibbering and Sporka respect the distance, then the position will grow naturally. Nilufar may sees that he feel that Sporka is winning without even fighting. That kind of palace conflict is more interesting than direct argument. A shouting match need quickly but quiet rivalry takes longer. Nilufar may watch every small gesture. Did Orhan look at Sporka with truth? And did Sporka stand closer during the mooring? Did Orhan speak Sporka with respect? Did the servant begin treat her with her more important in a balanced power? Often move forward small sign before it becomes official. Nilufar danger is that pain may make her attractive. If he controls Sporka too quickly, she must appear insecure. If she complains too much to Orhan, she may push him away. The exact time, the needy strength. If she becomes old to the children or the palace order, enemies may exploit it. This is why Nilufar must evolve. She must cannot remain only the wounded wife. She must become a political woman who knows how to protect love with dignity. Olan Hunt may play the role of warning here. She may tell Nilufar that a ruler wife cannot act like a ordinary woman. Her pain may be real, but her action must be measured. The palace watch everything. The people watch the palace. The enemy listen to silence, rumors, one emotional mistake and tribal factor. Then our army Nilufar must learn that the tears are private but our behavior in political. Sporka to have difficult road. If she becomes too confident too quickly, she will create resistance. If she tries to calm authority over Nilufar's space, the palace will reject her. If she uses Orhan attention carelessly, she will make enemies among a woman who already doubt her. Her best weapon is patience. She must act if she is not compacting. Even while everyone knows she is becoming important, this is the art of palace survival. Orhan treatment of both women may become older because of Buran death. He may not have the emotional energy to comfort Nilufar or define. As Porka plays clearly this clearest danger because unclear relationship create palace storms. If Orhan does not set boundaries, Nilufar and Sporka will begin sitting their own. If he does not speak, silence and will become internship. And interpation in a palace often becomes a poison. Nilufar may begin to feel that as Porka understands that political Orhan while she herself misses a emotional Orhan. This is a heartbreaking contract. Nilufar loves the man as Porka may understand the ruler. Orhan needs both. love and understanding. Bertha cannot always separate them if Sporka becomes useful in political silence and Nilüfer remains trapped in emotional pain. The balance may shift, however. Nilüfer also has something Sporka does not. History she has shared suffering with Orhan, she has memories that cannot be replaced. She has emotional root in the palace, she has the children, and there them are deep connection of the future. Sporka can rises, but the cannot earth. Nilüfer, this is Meyer means can conflict will not be about replacement, it will be about balance, the best future. Nilüfer arc is not to defeat Sporka like an enemy, it is an defeat her own fear. If difficult, learn to stand with dignity, carries from the palace, protect Orhan, emotional word without damaging construct proof and use her position wisely. She will become stronger than before. Her greatest victory will not be making as podcast smart. Her greatest victory will be becoming too noble to be easy treatment as Porca rise meaning while it should not be written a pure victory. She may gain respect but she will also feel online. Being accepted by Orhan does not mean being accepted by the palace. Being married into power does not mean being safe. Every step she takes will be judged, every mistake will be remembered, every kindness may be doubted. She may win position, but peace will not come easily. This is the way palace after Boran death. Boran emotionally rich. Outside the sword clash, inside heart bleed quickly. Orhan fight enemies who use trap. Nilüfer fight fear. Sporka fight rejection. Mulhan Horn fight discovered. And all of them are part of the same story, the building of a state where private pain cannot be allowed to destroy the public story. The enemy alliance begin to crack. Sahinsa's turmoil and Mehmet Bey may appear strong from the outside. The alliances built on the fear, pride, and temporary interest are always fragile. They can stand while victory seems close to, but the moment pressure arrives, cracks begin to show. Buran Bey martyrdom may have given them a short emotional victory, but it has also awakened Orhan full attention, and once Orhan begins studying them carefully, their unity will become harder of mountain. Sahinsa's weakness is pride. He believed he understood power because he has lived around it. He believes Orhan is still young enough to he provoked, shaken, and trapped the but pride can man underestimate change. Orhan is not the same man he was before Boran death. Grief has matured him, loss has sharpened him. A proud enemy often falls because he keeps fighting the old version of his point. Opponent Ramna's weakness is hardship. His treatment of Duran can become a major internal wound. When man is willing to catch his own blood, he may create fear, but the fear does not create loyalty. Fear can worse obstance for a while, but it cannot create the unity. It trust is innocent or even partly misunderstood. The dreamer currently will become a poison inside him on sight. Almine pain can become the emotionally crack through with truth escape. Mehmet Bey weakens may be calculation. Men would join conspiring after imagining that they can benefit without paying the full price. But when the license begins to shake, such men look for safety first. If Orhan applies pressure correctly, Mehmet Bey may begin protecting himself. He may deny involvement, shift blame, or secretly open a door for a navigation. This is how Orhan can divide the enemy without fighting all of them at once. The smallest move of Orhan would be attack just not only soldiers. He must make Sahinsa's doubt Dimra. He must make Dimra unsuspect Mehmet Bey. He must make Mehmet Bey fear that Sahinsas will sacrifice him. Once suspicions enter the enemy camp, every conversation becomes dangerous. Every messenger looks like a spy. Every delay feels like betrayal. This is how a strong-looking alliance being collapsing from within. Security may not like such a slow strategy. He may also remove direct revenge, but also Orhan must explain that Boran bloods deserve the destruction of the whole division. Not only the death of one visible enemy, this can create a powerful leadership scheme. Orhan can tell certainly that a sword cut or one man. But wisdom cuts the roots. Curtly may resist at first, but at the will eventually understand that Boran revenge must be complete. The enemy may also try to use capacity as a weapon. The traitor line through Isar or Mars, justice, the honor, and improvement will be central to the next conflict. If the enemy capture an ops or threaten public humiliation, they will believe they braveted her. But his can backfire. A capture warrior who refuses to bow become more powerful than a free man who speaks softly. The enemies may control the prisons, but the prisons can control the story. This is where Orhan side as the advantage. The strength is not only military, it is moral. They believe their cause is the spiritual meaning. They believe martyrdom is not defeat. They believe loyalty has valuable beyond life. The enemy alliance may have plans, soldiers, and position. If they have lacked shared faith, they will not ensure pressure in the same way. Sahinsas may become more aggressive or Orhan grows in prideful. Men prefer appellation over admission. He may order a harsher move, thinking fear will solve the problem, but hardness often creates weakness. The more brutal the enemy becomes, the more people begin trusted against them. Oran can use this. He can present himself not only a conqueror, but as the bringer of justice against disorder. Imran's situation with Dunran can become the turning point. If Duran escapes, speak truth is observed by Hamlin. Drumnan authority may weaken if Himalayan exposes something. The enemy internal story may collapse if Orhan learned that the story Durhan was used from or punished from political reason. He can turn his into a public blow against Imran in triple political legitimacy matters. Abe who appear unjust toward his own family loses normal strength. The enemy license may also underestimate the palace. They may think Orhan household tension make him weak, but if Orhan Mont, Nilufar and even Asporka manage to hold her palace together during crisis, then his expectation fails. The enemy want internal division. If the palace remains disciplined, Orhan become harder to break. The crackers of the enemy alliance should happen slowly. First of all, doubt the then sharp or then a doubt the sharp word than a failed messenger. Then blame after a lost skirmish. Then fear that someone has spoken to Orhan. Finally, open betrayal among traitors. The would be a strong dramatic path because it married the main theme. Alliances without loyalty cannot defeat a state built on sacrifice. Orhan victory should not come only through battle, it can become through understand human weakness, Ahimsa's pride, Imran, Kurtali, Mehmet Bey, self-interest, and the emotional boundaries and Hazmin can all become door. Orhan only need to open in them in the right order by the end of this arc. The enemy may realize that killing Boran did not weaken Orhan's state, it exposed their own weakness. They wanted to make Orhan react emotionally, but instantly they pushed him into deeper strategy. They wanted to divide him, camp his, but they divide on their own. This is the justice of the story. Betrayal after return to the house from which is sent. The road ahead Orhan becomes a trust sultan. The true road ahead the cruelest Orhan is no longer about proving whether Orhan is brave. That question has already been answered. The real question now is whether Orhan can become a true sultan is the full meaning of the word. A brave man can change into battle. A true sultan may cry grief, silence, justice, love, suspicious, mercy, and punishment at once. This is the burden now placed one on Orhan's shoulder. Boran Bey Metroid marks the emotional border between Orhan earlier journey and this deeper transformation. Before this, Orhan was walking under the shadow of Osman Bey's legacy. After Quran's death, that shadow becomes lighter and heavier at the same time. Lighter became because the old generation is slowly leaving, forcing Orhan to stand on his own. Heavier because every fallen companion leaves behind a duty that Orhan must carry. To become a true sultan, Orhan must first master himself. This is the hardest than mastering enemies. Anger will calm him, grief will pull him, love will distract him, palace tension will wound him, enemies will provoke him, loyal men will demand revenge. But the man must not let a single emotional rule him. A sultan will everything, but he is ruled by duty. This is the difference between personal pain and state responsibility. His test is justice. Boran death cannot be answered with random purity. Orhan must push the quality, not simply the nearest. If he becomes unjust, is revenge in the enemy wins morally. If the becomes slow and weakened, the loyalty loses faith. Justice must be firm, clear, and public enough to restore confidence. Everyone must understand the betrayal has a price, but they must also see the Orhan does not kill blindly. His threat, the test is the palace. Nilufar and Sporka are not side matter. They are part of state stability. A ruler household is never only private. If Nilufar feels abandoned, her pain her can become disorder. If Esporka feels insulted, her political value can become a problem. If Orhan Hunt loses control of the woman balance, enemy will hear whisper. Orhan must says Orhan can use this crack wisely. He does not need to attack Drummond directly at first. He also can allow Drummond on justice to speak in harmless search to prove ignorance. escape if its weakness appears, or if one of Imran a man begin to regret what he happened when other Orhan can turn this into a political weapon. He can show that Imran is not a just leader but a fearful man punishing his own side to protect his pride. This would be powerful because Orhan claim to leadership is only not be based on conquest. It is based on justice. If he can present himself as the ruler who investigate true while Imran act from correctly, then the moral balance shifted toward Orhan. People do not allow follows the strongest sword. They follow the man wars rule, fear, safe, cleanness, and more honorable. The sun may become bridge between enemies territorial and Orhan trust. If he survives, he may reveal how the trap against Boran was planned. He may know who sent messages, who betrayed the route, or who used his name as cover. His survival could become dangerous of Sahinsas and Imran. This is why this fate matters. A man is caged can sometimes carries the key to a whole conspiracy. Hermione may also face a painful decision to save Dursan. She may have to betray her own side, challenges someone powerful. This gives to emotionally strength. She is not only a love interest, she can become a woman who risks everything for truth if written strongly. Her arc can connect romance, political betrayal, and justice in one line. Dimrain think has power secure, but Turain and Helman may prove other side. The strongest walls often crack from inside, not outside. Or hands for the defeat. Dimrain is battled, but Dursan trust him may defeat him before the battle even begins. The coming fire of episode 23. The road of episode 23 feel heavy, emotional and dangerous. The story is now carrying May 1st at once. Boran Bay Metroitum has created grief in Orhan camp. The Prahas trucks Isser Almas suggests a capacity owner will become central. Nilufar and Asporka are locked into a quiet place. Struggle, Sahinsa, Dermine, and Mehmet Bey believe that they can still control the game. Darshan and Hermione may hold a hidden truth that can crack the enemy alliance, and Orhan stand in the middle of all this, wounded but becoming stronger. Episode 23 should not feel like a normal continuation. It should feel like the beginning of a harsher chapter. Orhan has now paid with more. This the enemy has now paid was blood with blood. The enemy, the cross lines, the balance has between become emotionally unstable. The Alps are hungry for justice. The state cannot remain still. Every direction demands action, but every action carries risks. The most powerful path of the story episode is controlled revenge. Orhan should not blindly toward the enemy. He should make them believe he is broken, then strike when there are weakness. If scientists expect range, Orhan should answer with strategy. If determined accept fear, Orhan should answer the exposure. If Mehmet Bey expect confusion, Orhan should answer with a strap of his own. This would show Orhan growth as a ruler. Curiosity may become the emotional weapon of the episode. He will want revenge for Burhan. He will be raw and the audience will feel it, but his greatest moment will come if he chooses discipline over blind anger. If he fights not only to satisfy his grief but to fulfill Boran's legacy, then his character becomes stronger. He will not simply be a wounded up, he will become the living memory of a fallen brother. Inside the palace, Nilufer must choose her direction. If he allows jealousy to dominate her during the crisis, she will lose his sympathy. But if he stands with dignity, support the mourning household, and protect Orhan emotionally world without demanding attention, he will rise. As Porca must also choose carefully. If she becomes too proud, the palace will resist her. If she shows respect and patience, she may gain quiet influence. Both women are being tested by the same question, and can they put the state above their own pain? The enemy alliances may begin to shake. In episode 23, Eon's situation can trigger suspension, Himalayan action can reveal hidden truth. Mehmet Bey may begin protecting himself, Imran may becoming more cruel as the field control slipping, Sahinsas may become more reckless and his pride is challenged. This is the perfect moment of Orhan to divide them. A united enemy is difficult of defeat, but an enemy full of suspicious defeat it may before the sword arrives. The themes of capacity can create one of the strongest emotional moments. If a Turkish warrior are captured and refuses to bow, the episode can deliver a scene that become unforgettable. The enemy may think change or proof of victory, but the captive warrior can turn change into proof of courage. He may stand wounded, surrounded, and alone, yet still speak like a free man. This is the meaning of Turk is Olmaz. The body may be held, but the soul refuses ownership. But the end of coming stage, Orhan should emerge darker and more complete. He will still carry grief, but grief will not longer control him. He will still love, but love will no longer distract him from duty. He will still honor the old arms, but will begin building his own era. Boran death will remain behind him like a burning torch, lighting the road forward. The coming fire of episode 23 is not only about who wins the next battle, it is the who control the meaning of loss. The enemy want Boran death to mean weakness. Orhan must make it mean weakening. The enemy want capacity to mean humiliation. Orhan must make it mean resistance. The enemy want palace tension to mean division. Orhan must make it more mean discipline. If he success, episode 23 will not only continue the story, it will mark the moment where Orhan pain becomes power and the where state rises higher from the very wound that was meant to destroy it. Episode 23 should not feel like a normal continuation, it should feel like the beginning of a harsher chapter. Orhan has now paid with blood, the enemy has crossed a line, the palace has become emotionally unstable. Are hungry for justice, the state cannot remain still. Every direction demands action, but every action carries risk. The most powerful path of the next episode is controlled revenge. Orhan should not run blindly toward the enemy, he should make them believe he is broken, then strike where they are weakest. If Sahinsas expect range, Orhan should answer With strategy, if order mind accept fear, Orhan should answer the exposure. If Mehmet Bey expect confusion, Orhan should answer with a trap on his own. This would show Orhan growing as a ruler. Security may become the emotional weapon of the episode. He will want revenge for Boran. He will be raw at the audience will feel it, but his greatest moment will come if he chooses discipline over blind anger, if he fight not only to satisfy his grief, but to fulfill Puran legacy. His character becomes stronger. He will not simply be a wounded up, he will become the living memory of a fallen brother. Inside the palace, Niloufar must choose her direction if she allows jealousy or dominate her during this crisis. She will lose sympathy, but if she stands with dignity, supports the mourning household, and protects Orhan's emotional world without demanding attention, she will rise. Aspolka must also choose carefully. If she becomes too proud, the palace will resist her. If she shows respect and patience, the may gain quite influence. Both women are being tested by the same question. Can they put the state above their own pain? The enemy alliance may begin to shake in epic. Gerson situation can trigger suspension. Immediate action can reveal hidden truth. Mehmet Bey may be protecting himself. Demand may becoming more cruel as he feels control. Sleeping Sahinsas may become more reckless as his pride is challenged. This is the perfect moment of her Orhan to divide them. A united enemy is difficult to defeat, but an enemy full of suspension defeats itself. Therefore, Sword arrived the theme of capacity then can create one of the strongest emotion movement. If a Turkish warrior are captured and refuses to bow, the episode can trigger a scenes that become unforgettable. The enemy may think chain as proof of victory, but the capacity warrior can turn chain it to proof of courage. He may stand wounded, surrounded and alone, yet still speak like a free man. This is the meaning of Turk is almost. The body may be held, but the soul refuses ownership. By the end of the coming stage, Orhan would emerge darker and more complete. He will still carry grief, but grief will no longer control him. He will still love, but love will no longer distract him for duty. He will still honor the old apps, but will begin building his own era. Buran death will remain behind him like a burning torch, lighted the road forward. The coming fire of episode 23 is not only about who may win the next battle, it is about who control the meaning of loss. The enemy want Buran death of mean weakness. Orhan must make it mean a weakening. The enemy want capacity to mean humiliation. Orhan must make it means resistance. The enemy wants palace tension to mean division. Orhan must make it means discipline if he success. Episode 23 will not only continue the story, it will mark the moment where Orhan pain becomes power and where the state rises from the every wound there was meant to destroy it. The phrase Turk it's almost is not only a trailer line, it is the emotional key of coming character. It tells us that episode 23 will not only be about sword, trade or revenge, it will be about honor. It will be about the difference between being physically captured and spiritually defeated. In the word of Krulus Orhan, a warrior can be wounded, chained, surrounded and dragged before enemies, but if his heart refuses to bow, then he is still free. This is why the line carries so much weight. If turn capacity into a test of identity for Orhan, this Paris becomes more than a slogan. It becomes a duty. If one of his men is captured, humiliated, or threatened by the enemy, Orhan cannot treat his own ordinary military problem. A capture up is not only One soldier is danger, he is a symbol. If the enemies display him, they are trying to discipline or harm weakness. It means the enemy forces him to kneel. They are trying to break the spirit of the camp. If the enemy uses him as tools, they are testing the whether or harm test can be pressure or thrown emotion. But this is where the enemy misunderstand the Ottoman spirit. They believe chain are power. They believe a pressure means victory. They believe that the holding the breathly the they have tried, but this Orhan word the body is not the final measure of freedom, faith or dignity and loyalty and stronger a warrior who refuses humiliation can turn the enemy person into his own battlefield. He may have no sword in his hand, but his word can cut deeper than steel. This is why the next episode can create a very powerful scene. Imagine and help standing wounding before Sahinsa or Imran, his hand dried hair of cloth are torn, blood is on his face. His enemy asks him to pledge to surrender, to speak against Orhan or not to accept defeat, but instead of fear he smiles. He looks at them as says that our Turkey may burn, but the who does not become a serf is that moment the enemy loses the meaning of victory. They may still hold the chain, but they no longer hold power over the man. For Orhan, such a moment would be both painful and inspiring. Painful because very captured warrior in his responsibility, inspiring because the courage of that warrior survival. Our ruler does not protect land, he protects the dignity of people who trust him. If Orhan allow his men to be humiliated without answer, the calm will weaken, but its response will wisdom and force them. The enemy attempt at humiliation become the beginning of their downfall. The frauds also connected directly to Boran Bey Martyrdom. Boran died without already become a symbol of loyalty. Now it another warrior faces capacity and refuses to bow. The story continues the same theme. The enemy can wound the Ottoman side, but they cannot own its soul. This is the real power of mistorm and resistance in the series. The enemy means moment, but Orhan's side means meaning. Will feel like the deeply after Boran death. He will not tolerate any sign of humiliation against their people. His grief will make him more sensitive to honor. If he hears that an Alps has been captured or insulted, he may lose control. This is where Orhan must hold him back. Not because security is wrong to be angry, but because anger must be shaped into victory. A wild rescue attempt could become another trap. A trapped rescue can become a legend inside the palace. The phrase Turk Isar Olmaz may also age differently. Nilüfer may understand that the man outside the fighting not only for Orhan ambition but for the dignity of the whole people. Esporca may see that Orhan word is built no or something deeper. The political marriage or place power Orhan Hunt will understand that his line in oath older than the current crisis. It is the spirit that carried Osman Bey's struggle and now must carry Orhan's rule. The coming episode therefore should not only slow action, it should the meaning of action. A rescue is not only a rescue, a refusal to bow is not only a brave movement, a military grave is not only a grave. Everything becomes part of the same messages. This state is being built by people who value honor more than comfort, loyalty more than life, and freedom more than survival. Orhan rescue plan and the enemy flaws confidence. If the enemy has captured one of Orhan men, then their biggest mistake will be thinking that Orhan will respond like a separate man. They may accept him is crushed, forward, lose patience, and sacrifice strategy for emotion. This is the trap they want. They know that Boran Bey Mithroid already wooden Orhan hurt. They may think Another emotional strike will be strike his discipline completely, but this is exactly where Orhan must prove that he is no longer only a warrior, he is becoming a true sultan. Our rescue plan in the situation cannot be simple. Orhan can not only gather arms right toward the enemy camp and cut through everyone in anger that would satisfy the heart for a moment if they would cost more lives. The enemy may have prepared hidden archers, false road, fake precision, or a second ambush. If Orhan's mind has already used trap when they can be used again. Orhan must assume that every road is watched, if every message can be false. This is why Orhan's first weapon must be information. He must know where the prisoner is held, who grant him, who gave the order, and what the enemy what is exchanged. This is the prison begins used to delay the bait to draw clarity into range, is the mean to create panic among the apps, or its begin used to force Orhan into a public navigation that would make him look weak. These questions matter because a rescue without understanding the enemy purpose is only half a plan. Orhan may send execute quietly, he may use loyal when who are unknown to the enemy. He may allow unknown forces rumors to spread, making Sahinsas believe he will attack from one side while the real move comes from another. He may also use the crack inside Remna camp to Rose and Hemline storyline can become important here if Helmine gain information of Dursan knows the enemy internal movement or Han may find a hidden road the victory. Sometime a pressure is safe not be the strongest sword but the smallest piece of the truth. Will want to be part the rescue his part. Damit demanded it after Boran that he cannot sit still while another brother suffer in chains, but Boran must decide how to use him. If Crottery enters the mission uncontrolled, he may expose the plan. If Orhan excludes him, may feel disordered. This the best path is to give him responsibility with discipline. Let him fight but not blindly. Let him carry Boran memory but not turn Boran memory into choice. The enemy false confidence will be their weakness. Men like Sahinsas often confuse currently with strength. They may think about displaying a personal will make Orhan smaller but currently can backfire. The more they humiliate their captive, the more anger they create against themselves. The more they boast, the more careless they become. The more believe Orhan is emotionally broken, the less they prepare for his intelligence. Orhan rescue should therefore be treated as both emotional and strategic. The audience should feel tension, not only action. Every step should enter danger. A wood should be a late sign, a suspicion guard, a hidden traitor, a torch going out at the wrong time. All these details can make the rescue powerful. Then when Orhan finally reached the captive to turn the enemy trap against them, the victory felt earned. But Orhan must not save only one man. He must save the meaning of the state. If the enemy he declared had struck that big chain, Orhan must answer that chain can be broken. If the enemy has cleared that, Orhan must show that humiliation returned to the hand that carried it. If the enemy has tried to use capacity as a message, Orhan must send a strong message back. This is the kind of episode where Orhan leadership can rise in the eyes of everyone. The Alps all sees that does not abandon him man. The palace will see the grief has not weakened him. The enemies will see the trap no longer work the same way, and the audience we'll see the Orhan is learning the deepest lesson of rule. At emotion give the reason to fight, but strategy decide whatever the fight become victory. Orhan haunt warning to the palace while Orhan prepare for danger outside. Mulan haunted protect the palace from danger inside. Her role become more important with every episode because the understand something the younger character often forget. The palace is also battlefield now. Arrows fly through its halls, but world can around no shoot down openly. The proud can cut no army marches inside, but jealousy, fear, and ambition can destroy order if no one control them. After Boran Bay, Metroidum, and the coming danger of capacity, Mulhan haunted will like feel that the palace has haunted like feel like the palace has no law right the remain decided. She has seen enough blood to know that private conflict becomes shameful when loyal men are dying. Outside Nilufar, pain is real as Porka struggle is real, but the state danger is greatest than both. Mulan warning may be simple, be but heavy at a simple that cannot stand together during merging does not deserve victory. Nilufar may not want to hear this is first. Her heart is still wounded by a Sporka. Present she may feel that everyone is asking her to be strong while no one truly understands the pain inside her. From the point of review Orhan messages the change the word Asporka quite right feel like a threat. Orhan distance feels like admonishment. The palace expectation of dignity feels like another burden placed on her shoulder. But Mulhan will not speak only a mother, she will speak as a woman who has survived the political of power. Mulhan may roams Nilufar that love alone is not enough beside a ruler. A ruler wife must know when to speak, when to stay silent, when to comfort, when to challenge, and when to sacrifice her own pain for the larger cause. Nilufar cannot control the fact that Sporka entered the palace, but she can control whether she loses dignity because of it. This may become Nilufar's strongest lesson. If she reacts to every wound, she becomes easy to read. If stand with calm strength, she becomes impossible to push aside. As Porka will also receive a warning. Morhan will not allow her to become arrogant. She may accept that Asporka has a political place. Now the acceptance does not mean surrendering the palace to her. Asporka must understand that entering Orhan household means respecting its grief, custom and memories. She cannot act in marriage but given the permission to step all over loyalties. If she wants respect, she must given her permission to step all loyalties. If she wants respect, she must earn it slowly. This may Olhan the balance between two rights. She may know Nilufar can become dangerous if campaign turns into bitterness. She knows Asporka can become dangerous if position turn into pride. She knows Orhan cannot manage every emotional detail while facing enemies outside. Therefore, Mulhan becomes the graduation of eternal order. Her task is not to remove pain, the task is to pain from becoming disorder. The palace servant, children, and women as want his attention in the royal household. Even silence has direction. Is Nilufar walk one of the Sporka and other people notice. If Orhan speak it to one more softly, people notice. If Mulhan sits with one larger than the separate people notice this small movement create rumors, rumors become pressure, pressure become division. This is why Mulhan must act early. A stronger scene would show Mulhan greeted Nilufar and Svorka after news of enemy latest move. She may tell them that the enemy want Orhan distract, the enemy want to palace weak, the enemy want the woman to fight while men die outside it. Nilufar and Sporka allow that to